Uh, this is the Big Douglas Show. With me, as always, is rapper Big Pooh and our guest today from the Washington City paper, Troy Haliburton. Troy, thanks for coming on again.
How you doing, Doug and Big Pooh? I'm very happy to be here, even in a pinch hitting spot. But anytime that we're here to talk about the amazing run that the Washington Wizards have been on, I always make time.
We'll get there in a second. That's what we're here to do today. But I thought we should take just a second. And Ryan Kerrigan is off to the Eagles. It will be weird to see him in green, but Pooh, he's got to be one of the greatest players of the Snyder era, certainly.
He might be the greatest player of the Snyder era. He's homegrown. He played. He had that streak, consecutive game streak. I think it was snapped like 2 years ago or something like that. Where he ranks in sacks, he was just consistent. He was a professional. There was never no problems. There was never no issues. It's either him or Trent Williams. They're battling for the greatest of the Snyder era as far as homegrown talent that they drafted, nurtured, groomed, kept for as long as they could, and then now he's an Eagle. now he's an Eagle.
Does that make you angry? A lot of people on the timeline angry at Ryan Kerrigan today. That's craziness, right?
Nah, man, this is a business. You gotta, that's the team that he felt was going to give him the opportunity that he was seeking. So you got to go do what you got to do. We've had Cowboys that have come to DC to play, and I wasn't upset if they performed well, Dion.
So he did not.
So it's a business at the end of the day, man. I don't take my fandom that far. Power to him. I just, at this point in his career, we have two players that are more what we need versus what he was able to provide. So it is what it is.
And per Kime, they told him, like, from the jump, like, we're not going to pursue you again. So we appreciate your time here, but we'll be moving in a different direction, because he said, he appreciated that stuff. Only 3 teams offered him: Pittsburgh, Philly, and the Bengals, Cincy, I think.
He should have went to Pittsburgh, but hey.
I swear I would have gone. Maybe he just didn't feel like being in that 34 was going to work for him again.
He went to the wrong team in Pennsylvania, but
that's right.
That's that man's decision. You know what I'm saying?
Troy, give us a couple minutes on the new addition for Washington today, and if and what that means, I guess, for Wesley Matthews, right?
For Wesley Matthews?
Holmesley?
Yeah,
Caleb Holmesley. Caleb Holmesley. Okay, yes. Caleb Holmesley, the pride of Liberty University in North Carolina. He signed with the Wizards. He played on their G League affiliate team. Well, really, technically, it was not even the Wizards G League affiliate. They had what was called the G League bubble for the last G League season. And the Wizards, shout out to Ted Leon, says he did not put up the $500,000 to actually field the Capital City Go-Go. So they combined teams with the New Orleans Pelicans. So I think their affiliate was called the Erie Bayhawks. And so Caleb Holmesley, he went down to the G League bubble and he played with the Erie Bayhawks, and he averaged, I believe, about upwards of 9 points a game, 3 steals a game, though. I think that he has a defensive presence. He is the quintessential 3-and-D type of player. I would look at him as a cheap option, similar to what they already have now in Anthony Gill. And so I think that what Tommy Shepard basically did was they had an open roster spot, and because the season is getting ready to end today, the league year is ending right now, he decided to go ahead and take advantage of that open roster spot that they have for now and invest in the future. So I think the deal they gave him, I believe, was 4 years, $5.3 million. A lot of those years are non-guaranteed. So, I mean, it's almost a no-lose situation for the Wizards, just taking a gamble on the guy they've already had in their system.
Let's take a quick trip through the West. Sorry, Pooh, my bad. Let's do the West real quick, and then we'll go through the playoff games in the East. Let's start with Memphis and the Spurs, right?
Yep.
Man, Pop's so good. The Spurs, I mean, you just don't. Who's on that team, and they're still winning games, I suppose. But we'll start with Memphis. Well, I forget he's on the team. It seems like that should be the Grizzlies, no?
I don't think it matters.
Well, yes, okay.
Okay. If the NBA has its way, I was about to say David Stern, may he rest in peace. If the NBA has its way, I think that's why they probably were excited that LA and the Warriors ended up 7-8. Because more than likely they're going to end up 7-8 for the big boy playoffs, and I don't think that 9th or 10th spot really mattered out west. Obviously it's one game, anything can happen, but I think the league would be more excited if the Lakers and the Warriors ended up 7-8 and they ended up playing, I guess it's Phoenix and Utah, or whoever's 1 and 2 right now in the West. In the first round. I think that would be more exciting for the league. That would be more fanfare for the league. And so, like I said, that game, who cares? Like, besides their fan bases, I don't think anybody really cares. I don't think anybody really watched them this season to care. So, except for their fan bases. You, Troy?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Ja Morant, but I can honestly say that I did not watch a lot of Memphis Grizzlies games this year. I'm right there with you, Big Pooh. I think that the NBA as a league, they would be ecstatic if they could get the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors in some combination of 7 or 8 and into the playoffs. But I do believe that if the Lakers were to beat Golden State in that first 7-8 game, I do believe that Memphis that they can sneak up on the Golden State Warriors possibly if Golden State doesn't come out and put their best performance on the table in that second game. It's a possibility. I understand that it is a long stretch, but don't be surprised. That Memphis team is very tough and gritty. They're like the newer version of the grit and grime of Memphis teams of yesteryear.
And it definitely gives the NBA what they wanted, right? Because it's a way to showcase young talent and play more games. I mean, the NBA is not upset that Ja Morant's going to be on extra TV.
Yeah, of course not. I mean, Ja Morant, he actually played in the play-in game last year in the bubble. Hopefully he'll be able to raise his team's level to the playoffs, or he might just be known as the NBA's all-time greatest play-in player. But I think that it is very exciting to be able to see some of the young stars coming up in the league, like a Ja Morant, like a what's my other guy for or if Sacramento would have made it, a De'Aaron Fox or a Zion Williamson, or these younger guys who are not quite on that all-star level, but they are definitely considered rising stars in this league. I think that, and they don't get nationally televised games during the regular season. So I think it's a great opportunity for the NBA to expand those younger players to a broader fan base.
Troy, I was going to ask your opinion on the play-in tournament as a whole. I put a post up on Twitter yesterday or last night saying that I really enjoy the play-in tournament. I think it gives more teams incentive to actually play at the end of the season. And it's less teams, like we're not even talking about tanking. Of course you had your Oklahoma City Thunder, they clearly just threw in the towel, and Orlando at the trade deadline clearly threw in the towel. But for the most part, teams all the way up until the last couple of games, for most teams, they had something to play for. What are your thoughts on the play-in tournament, and do you think it's here to stay?
Well, Big Pooh, I think that you hit the nail on the head where the play-in tournament, it's not even so much as about the actual play-in tournament. It's about the weeks leading up to that, closing out the regular season. And so what that did was it kind of tiered off the league in different ways. So you had like in each conference, you had the top teams and they're competing for their top tier spots. And then you had your middle tier teams that are trying to avoid playing in the play-in tournament. And then you had your third tier teams who were trying to play their way into the play-in tournament and also jockeying for position with seeding within that play-in tournament style. So what I think that, like you said, it's not even so much about the actual play-in tournament on Tuesday and Wednesday. It's about the weeks leading up to it for the NBA and how that has drummed up so much interest. It's prevented teams from tanking, and it's incentivized teams to actually go out there. A team like the Chicago Bulls, who are making trades at the trade deadline. In a normal year, they might have, not made a deal like that because knowing that, that they were going to be trying to tank. But if they know that they have an outside shot of getting that 10 seed, then teams are going to start making moves and trying to put their best foot forward. So I think that it does a lot for the competitive balance of the NBA.
Sure, you brought up trades there. I just cannot get over a month ago, we were having conversations about how horrible the team is. This Russell Westbrook looks really good for Tommy, right? I mean, this trade worked out way better. When they attached that extra first, I thought to myself, geez, that's a lot for Russ. But, man, we haven't had a player like him, maybe in the district period, that I can remember in the last 10 years. He's a different kind of beast, and he has drugged this team along with him to a play-in spot. Tell me what we missed about Russ early on.
Well, I guess we missed his medical status because he came in with a torn quad, and so I think that what a lot of fans. So I was guilty of it. I was watching him play, and I thought that he did not look as explosive as he had in years past. As it turns out, I was right. He was hurt. So this guy who we had come to know as being a menace at attacking their rim and full court pressing as opposing point guards and just relying on a certain level of athleticism that we just didn't see for the first couple of months of the year. And I think that everything kind of happens for a reason. When the team was going through their COVID crisis in mid-January, they had 2 weeks off. Russell Westbrook didn't have COVID, but he got the rest up that hamstring. He got the rest up that quad. And so when they came back from the other side of that hiatus, he's looked like a completely different basketball player from the months of February, March, and April. Really, when you talk about like the tear of triple doubles that he went on, really, putting the team on his back night after night, with Brad, missing games with hamstring injury of his own, or Brad missing games with a hip injury. Russell Westbrook was coming out there and literally doing everything within his power to will the Wizards to wins, and they clearly needed every last win that they had in order to be in the position they are in right now.
Troy, can you speak to how sneaky good Tommy Shepard has been at finding players, that young players, still cheap players, but players that other teams may have given up on or not seen what they had in those players, and how important the Daniel Gaffords for a time, the Garrison Matthews, the players such as that has been, how important they have been for this team. Can you just speak on how sneaky good Tommy Shepard has been in that respect?
I think that Tommy's been very sneaky good. He has done a fantastic job of working around the margins. The only major trade that he has made was that John Wall for Russell Westbrook trade. every other trade he's made has been a situation where he's almost kind of interjected himself into other situations. So there might be a 2-team deal going on, and they're looking for a third team, and he'll jump in and say, "Oh, I'll be that third team. We'll take on that extra player." And he's done a good job of it, and some of them have worked out, some of them haven't. Like the Jerome Robinson trade was one that probably did not work out, but they also got Davis Bertans from the San Antonio Spurs for absolute free. They traded away the rights to a guy who never came over and never played for the Washington Wizards, and they turned that into Davis Bertans. Now, Davis Bertans, his contract extension is a whole nother story, but just the concept of going out and getting a player of his skill set for free, it's phenomenal. Going out and trading for guys like Isaac Bonga and Mo Wagner, interjected himself in that Anthony Davis from New Orleans to the Lakers trade, where the Lakers they had to get rid of some of those players because they didn't have enough roster spots. So, but they came in and he took Mo Wagner. He was able to flip Mo Wagner and put him along with Troy Brown into that trade that brought in Daniel Gafford. So it's like, I think that he's doing a great job of just going out and eyeing different talent. They are trusting their draft boards, so their past draft boards. So if they had you highly rated in 2018 draft or 2019 draft or 2020 draft, they're going back and they're seeing these players, and maybe if they're in situations that they might be unhappy in, he's still looking at that talent and being able to not only come in and try to further develop some of that talent, but also looking at them as assets. If he can't develop them, just go ahead, package them together and flip them for something else. So I think he's done a phenomenal job at just working around those margins.
Troy, it feels like these are two teams heading into this game tonight, heading in different directions. The Celtics don't find themselves very healthy. How do the Wizards find their health? What is Bradley's status? I know he'll play, but how is that injury?
Well, I think that so Brad actually he had a media availability just this afternoon, and he talked about that his hamstring is not going to be 100%, but I think that he and the Wizards medical staff have gotten to a point where they aren't terribly fearful of him going out and severely injuring himself in a way that will provide long-term damage. I think it's just a regular hamstring strain, and it's one of those things where if he can tolerate the pain, he's being able to go out there and try to perform. And so when you look at what he did yesterday after missing a week, I think a lot of people saw him kind of running up and down the court, laboring, and people were very much concerned for Bradley Beal's health status. But I think now, now knowing that he can't really re-injure it severely any further, I think it's really kind of all about his pain tolerance and threshold. And so, I feel confident trusting Brad to come out and gut it out for at least another night.
Troy, I'm one to always talk about Scott Brooks coaching in a negative manner, but I have to give props where props is due. I believe yesterday the game for the 8th spot probably was one of his best coaching games of this season, at least, where I was screaming like, I don't know, man, Brad might have to sit this one down or put Gafford back, but he made decisions yesterday that felt like he actually made adjustments on the fly by leaving Lopez in, which I'm pretty sure we all was nervous about, but Lopez provided offense when they needed it. He tightened up his rotation in that second half and rolled Ish Smith, even though that game against the Hawks, that was to a negative. It was actually to a positive yesterday. So, is this, can we expect this Scott Brooks come play in possible playoff time, or did we just get a glimpse of, we got a ray of light yesterday that we probably won't see again?
You know what? I tend to agree with you, Big Pooh, about what Scott Brooks did yesterday. I think that he did a fantastic job of making adjustments on the fly yesterday. He went away from his 3-center rotation, so he put Daniel Gafford into the starting half at the second half. Guys like Chandler Hutchison, who were in the rotation in the first half, he pulled them out of the rotation. He played Garrison Matthews some in the fourth quarter. First of all, I got to go back to Chandler Hutchison. Your man's coming out. He's TikToking before the game. He comes out. He plays 10 minutes. He has 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks, a -21. I would say shout out to my guy, Neil DeLaw from Hoop District. I said, man, he got a -21. He turned around to me and said, that's a minus blackjack. We both just started dying laughing in the arena. But I think that Scott Brooks, he did a fantastic job yesterday of feeling out his team and pushing the right buttons. So guys like Ish Smith and Robin Lopez, who are veterans in this league, it was a safe bet to be able to trust those veterans, those guys who have 10 plus years of NBA experience in a very big game. When Brooks is messing up, I'm going to be on his bumper. But when he does a good job, I got to give credit where credit is due.
Troy, give us a couple of things a couple keys to victory tonight, and then maybe what you expect.
It's tomorrow, Doug. Keep saying tonight.
Is it not tonight?
It's tomorrow, Doug. It's Tuesday.
It is Tuesday.
I'm in a time warp.
Well, I think the biggest key for the Wizards for victory would be coming up with a good defensive game plan and scheme to stop Jason Tatum. That's the only way they lose this game is if Jason Tatum comes out and goes off for 40 plus points. And so I think that puts a lot of onus on Rui Hachimura, who has shown a vastly improved skill set on the defensive end over the course of this season, but he can't do it by himself. It's going to take a team effort. It's going to take a scheme effort for them to go out and slow him down. And they're going to have to make somebody else that's not named Jason Tatum beat them. Grant Williams going to have to hit some shots tomorrow. Peyton Pritchard going to have to hit some shots tomorrow. Simi Oshale, them dudes going to have to hit some shots because Jason Tatum not going to come out there and score 50 and just beat the Wizards.
I watched a clip of Ted Leonsis when somebody asked him about Scott Brooks's future in Washington and how he answered it. He was very coy. Do you believe that obviously there's no mandate, there's no known mandate, but what gets Scott Brooks an extension? Making the playoffs and giving the Nets or Philly a run. I don't think they're going to beat either one of them in a 7-game series, but giving them a run, do you think that possibly gets him back, or does Ted let Tommy run the show and decide, Scott Brooks's future? Because I believe that if Tommy gets to run the show, Scott Brooks is done here. I just don't see how the front office and the coaching staff feels like they were on two different pages every time Tommy brings a player in, and the way Scott Brooks puts him into the system or doesn't play him or whatever. Troy Brown Jr. is a major thing to that, but I just don't see them being on the same page. And obviously Scott wasn't Tommy's hire, but how do you see this possibly playing out for Scott Brooks?
Honestly, I think that if the Wizards beat the Boston Celtics tomorrow, I think that Scott Brooks will be back for at least one more year. And the reason why I think that it more so not even the connection that Scott Brooks has with Tommy Shepard, I'm looking at the connection that Scott Brooks has with Russell Westbrook. And, they come almost as a package deal. And I'd like to point out even Russell Westbrook yesterday, he went out of his way to talk to the media about, the job that he felt like Scott Brooks has done. And, I think that right now, if you saw Ted Leonsis on Friday night when the Wizards' first home game back after that road trip and Russell broke that record, when he handed Russell Westbrook Westbrook, that jersey that said 182, Mr. Triple Double on it. You know, Ted had his mask on, but I could see him grinning from ear to ear. He's so happy to have Russell Westbrook here. And if Russell Westbrook wants Scott Brooks back, and if they've had some success, I think that there is some credence there that, you know, that I'm not saying that they're going to give him another 5-year deal, but, you know, maybe they'll give him a 1+1, you know, something of that nature. And Scott Brooks don't have many other options. So I think that he would love to come back. So I think that with the way that the team finished out this season, if they can, you know, if they can beat Boston and they can secure that 7 seed, you know, go out there, make Kevin Durant work a little bit in a 7-game or in a nice 5-game gentleman sweep respectable series. I think that Scott Brooks has a good chance of coming back next year just because of his standing relationship with his BFF, Russell Westbrook.
Yeah. That makes you very happy, Pooh, I know.
I once I knew the play-in was happening, I saw this. I saw it coming. I mean, part of it is standard operating procedure for the Wizards, but I obviously I know the relationship and how Russell feels about him. And then even Brad really like Scott Brooks. You know, I think Scott Brooks just need another coach over there. If he's going to be back, he needs another coach over there that actually, you know, knows what he's doing.
Where's our Nate McMillan, Big Pooh?
Where's our Nate McMillan? We need a Nate McMillan.
We need that guy next to the guy on the bench to put pressure on the guy.
Right.
Now there is precedence because Leonsis did fire the coach after they won the Stanley Cup. So I mean, I guess anything is possible, but he's generally treated the basketball team a little bit different than his hockey team.
Well, I mean, Barry Trotz, he was trying to get paid, and Ted wasn't trying to negotiate with him. You know, I'm pretty sure that whatever offer they put in front of Scott Brooks, he only got to call his agent. He probably signed it and coming back. So I think there's a little bit different circumstance here.
Pooh, what happened to your favorite Washington Wizards #1 draft pick on Insta today? He went a little crazy, didn't
he? Who's that?
Did you see the Kwame Brown?
Kwame Brown. Listen,
I heard about it. I haven't seen it.
Listen, I've seen partial clips, right? And I saw he one of the clips I saw you put up. He was talking about he was in that game when Kobe scored 81 versus Toronto, and it was funny. He was like, you know, yeah, me and Kobe scored a combined 82 points for the win. He scored 81 of them, but his point was like, this is what y'all asked for. Y'all wanted Kobe to take all these shots, to score all these points. And when somebody does that, that means that other people on the team aren't going to get shots. They aren't going to get opportunities to score. But this is what y'all asked for, and he did it. And now y'all complaining about other players not participating. He was like, did y'all see the screens I was setting? Did y'all see the rebounds I was grabbing?
Nothing was better than him, like, just totally nonchalantly saying, yeah, me and Kobe dropped 82.
Like, listen, I wasn't a big Kwame Brown fan. Obviously, when he got drafted here, and that was a player I felt should have probably went to college just for his development, not necessarily basketball wise, but maturity wise. But just seeing him now just talk about these, like, just things like that and other situations, just seeing how nonchalant he is and how real it is. It's funny, but it's real. Like, if you pay attention, it's real.
You didn't hear him talking about Matt Barnes, I take it.
I did hear that one because I didn't know that was about Matt Barnes before.
Definitely gave him the business too. He was ready for action.
Kwame Brown, he was mediocre on the court, but he's top tier in the IG live streets.
Yeah, so I heard about this. I haven't had a chance to check it out yet, but I think that Kwame Brown, his career arc is a very interesting story in the history of the league, right? Because, you know, you had all those guys that were coming out of high school, and I think that, you know, he served the purpose because it was a cautionary tale to these other high school guys that, like you said, Big Pooh, that maybe we should go to college. Maybe we do have, you know, some growing up to do, some maturing to do. But I also, man, I love listening to so many different podcasts of the A Poland Wizards days. And when you start hearing these stories about the stuff Michael Jordan was doing to Kwame Brown, man, like, man, that man was cyberbullying him, man. He should look like it's some real things that were going on. So, shout out to him for, being able to laugh and cry through it all. And it sounds like he is very much at peace with, how his career played out.
Absolutely. Like that's tough for a teenager to get drafted number one, and you come to a team and a player that you probably idolized growing up is, he's the one who drafted you. But at the same time, he's sending you through the ringer mentally. Like, you're not ready for that. You're not built for that. Like, you just living at your mom and daddy house. Like, you're not.
And your point, he was a young 18.
Yeah, he was a very young 18. He had to have people. I think the Wizards had to eventually get his family or somebody had to come live with him to show him how to be an adult,
to wash his clothes, wash and dry his clothes, and to take care of himself.
Buy groceries and things of that nature. Like, come on, man. And you're dealing with that and dealing with Michael Jordan bullying you, like hazing you.
It's wild. I was actually just watching. Was that the shout out to Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson, the All the Smoke podcast? They had Gilbert Arenas on, and Gilbert was telling a story about how that Kwame had lost his confidence so much that he didn't like playing in home games because the home fans would boo him so much. And so just imagine, I think that he could have been one of the early cases of somebody that could have benefited from a sports psychologist. It sounds like that he was dealing with a lot of different things of anxiety and depression surrounding his situation. If you're scared to play games in front of your home crowd, I think that there are some underlying issues there, and it was no wonder that his career kind of fizzled out. But you know what? Shout out to Ernie Grunfeld for at least trading away Kwame Brown, turning him into Caron Butler, and what was the original Wizards Big Three.
Absolutely. Well, Troy, man, once again, man, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you pinch hitting, coming on, and it's always fun to talk Wiz with you. Once again, let the people know where they can find you, what you got coming up. You got anything juicy coming in the city paper?
Man, I got something that should be coming out literally as we speak. The editor just hit me back. It's an article basically encompassing the entirety of the Wizards season and how yesterday's game against the Charlotte Hornets was pretty much a microcosm of the craziness and the roller coaster of the Wizards season, how they got down and it looked very bleak. But the Wizards came out on the other side. And so I have an article where I'm talking about that. I have some quotes in there from Ted Leonsis. And I know a lot of Wizards fans, we spend a lot of time talking about the franchise picking a direction. Well, it's very clear. Ted said it in 2018, the team will never, ever tank. So the direction is clear. We, as the fans and as the people who are covering and surrounding the team, we just have to come to grips with that. So I wrote a very nice article, just kind of describing some of those sentiments. And so, like I said, that should be coming out almost any minute now. So
it's just crazy. I was thinking we literally did a segment with you, Troy, the last time you were on how to fix the team. They were broken. And, we're one game away from the playoffs. It's just crazy the ride they've been on this year.
Absolutely insane. It's a roller coaster, but I don't think that, the Wizards who we spent so many decades in mediocrity, I don't think we would have had it any other way.
Absolutely. And before you go, I just want to say we was talking about the Russell Westbrook John Wall trade, and I remember we speaking about how emotional it was John getting traded away, and not necessarily just for what he did on the court, but what he meant to DC off the court. But I said it then, and I'm definitely going to reiterate it now. If it was one player I didn't mind coming in for John Wall, was a Russell Westbrook, because a lot of us have watched him from afar, obviously, not being on our team. And we didn't understand what he really means to a team. We didn't really understand the culture change that Russell Westbrook has when he comes to an organization, when he gets to be one of, not necessarily the guy, Brad's the guy, but he's the guy B, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And what he has meant for this organization. They play hard. There hasn't been a game where you've turned on. They might have got out coached. They might have got outplayed, but there hasn't been a game you turn on and say they weren't playing hard. And that's a direct result of the Russell Westbrook effect. So I definitely wanted to make sure we stated that before we got.
It was hard to fully appreciate Russell's brilliance until you watched him on a somewhat nightly basis. There's no doubt.
Yeah, man, I got to give credit where it's due. I think that Russell Westbrook. You hear so many stories about how detail oriented he is. Now he sticks to his routine, and how disciplined he is, and how that rubs off on his teammates. And I have a nice source within the Wizards organization, somebody who is around the team on an everyday basis, at every practice, at every game, on every team playing. And he told me that, I asked him, I said, is this kind of like blowing smoke? Like, is Westbrook, are we gassing them up? And he looked, and he told me with a straight face, he said that this dude's the real deal. He's been in and around the NBA for 2+ decades. And he said he's never seen anybody work as hard as him. He's never seen anybody take the craft as serious as him. They said that this dude, he said he's the real deal. He actually called him the real bull. So that might have been revealing of who this person is. But shout out to Philly, all our bulls out here. But he said that Russell Westbrook is the real deal. And so what he's done and coming, and he, like you said, he might not be the guy on the court, but when it comes to setting an example and being a leader off the court, I think that even Brad has learned a lot from Russell Westbrook over the course of this season. And so that is very much positive for the future growth and development of this young team.
This is all we ever asked for ever since Paul Pierce was here for his one brief season. A real veteran leader that everybody respected but can still contribute on the court. That's all we ever wanted and needed, and now we have it. Enjoy it, people.
I'm gonna enjoy it while it lasts, Big Pooh.
Indeed, man. Once again, thank you, Troy, man. Yep. You have a good one.
I appreciate that, Doug and Big Pooh. You guys take it easy. Salute, my brothers.
Peace.
All right.